Hello, and welcome to the Green Island Podcast. I'm Bernard Sheehan, joined as always by my brother and co author of Hard Border, James Sheehan. James, thanks for joining. We're going to continue to talk about some of the things going on in Ireland and also Europe in general, and also in America too. We can touch on that. Happy to have everyone here, and thanks for joining.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. Yeah, no, it's pretty interesting because like you see in I think we'll touch on the UK. You particularly want to talk about that, which is good. That like the conservatives are losing, but I'll have my perspective on that. But then we have in America where Joe Biden and the Democrats are kind of in free fall, it looks like, particularly after the debate. So that's kind of interesting. It's just like everybody wants to change because life is so miserable, compared to 4 years ago. So a lot to discuss. Compare and then like you see France and Italy are going conservative as well, as is Canada. Interesting times that actually England would go the other way, but they had the Tories in, and the Tories were acting just like the Democrats of the U.S. So they want change. They just went further left instead of going with probably Nigel Farage, who apparently has just become the man. So cool. Lot to talk about.
Yeah, as we record this, it's early July, and Joe Biden is still president. We'll see for how long in the US. But as you talked about, France had elections the other day, and they definitely went to the right. And as always, it's characterized as quote unquote far right, but it's just to the right. And I think that, these kind of leftists feel that it's their birthright to be running government, and that's not the case. So it'll be interesting to see. I think France and maybe Germany, they're kind of getting fed up with this stuff. And, when I say stuff, there's kind of really out of control immigration from people who, like, if they're coming into France, they're not French, and they have no goal or intent to assimilate at all and be a part of France. They're cutting out their own little corners and developing, essentially little patches of their own, where they came from. And we've talked before, you import the third world, you become the third world. And I think that Europe is starting to get sick of it. Ireland is getting sick of it, and now it's coming down to the polling and the actual ballot box. So France is the first to go, and I mean, they kind of lost their minds the other day with regards to the leftists when they saw that they were losing. So I think dust still needs to settle over there as far as it stands right now. I'm not fully, on board their system and how it goes, but it seems like there's more to come. And of course, they still haven't created a new parliament yet and formed that. But Macron definitely and his ilk definitely seem to be heading out.
Yeah, well, that'd be great because and then he can go in the sunset with his man wife 68-year-old situation. Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy. So you're kind of more or less saying that immigration's the number one issue. I would say that as well, coupled with like the Green New Deal crazy spending, and maybe more I don't know, particularly in America, it's just spending. I don't know where they're giving the money away, but it seems like it's going. But the immigration is the biggest issue.
I think,
I would agree with that, particularly in the U.S. It seems like it's the biggest issue. Like
and
they're
I,
doing the same. They're setting up like the gangs in the cities and stuff, straight from like South America. It's pretty crazy, isn't it?
right. And I think that that's the thing too in France. And again, I'm speculating, but this is what I've seen because it's the double whammy. It's not just people immigrating, but it's also like the safety factor that the crime has really gone exponentially up, and people don't feel safe and they're being attacked, and
Well, it's
it's
tribes,
linked.
right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
tribism.
yeah.
If they're not assimilating, then they're going to be at everybody's differences. Crazy,
Yeah, and they're just going to do
crazy.
what they're going to do. They're going to attack people, And of course, the cops aren't doing really much about it. The prosecutions aren't there, and the deportations
They're probably
definitely aren't
outnumbered
there.
too.
Yeah, yeah, there is that, and I think when you're in a situation where you expect peace, once war comes or violence comes, you're really not ready for it, and it's a very it's a very kind of dangerous thing. It's a transition where you got to get your head on and really change your mindset, and I don't think that they've done that yet. And of course, this is Ireland too. I mean, this is the thing that it's been a slow boil, but I think that they've really turned it up, and the frog is starting to notice that it's getting hot. And
Well, let's be honest, like the liberal governments are more or less kind of favoring the immigrants over their citizens.
definitely,
I mean, like the citizens don't have any recourse at all to this because the governments are actively pushing it.
yep,
Like, I mean, in the US, you actively had the federal government cutting the barbed wire Texas set up to stop the immigrants coming in, and it's happening virtually everywhere. Like Macron is letting them in; they're all letting them in. Of the liberal, you know, that kind of. So it's interesting. It's
Well,
interesting.
well, they're importing a new underclass. I mean, you talk about the U.S. Democrats for the last 200 plus years, they've always wanted slaves in some way, shape, or form. They had them pre-Civil War, and then they had them in the South under Jim Crow, and this kind of underclass, and they need to keep that. They constantly need to keep quote unquote cheap labor, but it's really not cheap labor, it's slave labor. And that's a big part of it. And it's also voters for them, as if people get too affluent, they're not necessarily going to be voting for them all the time. And they need to have a new underclass of voters. And they'll get them to vote some way, shape, or form, even if they're illegal.
Well, yeah. Let's see what happens because the middle class isn't as happy anymore either. I mean, they're getting absolutely robbed of everything they have,
Yep.
probably across the world. And like Ireland got taken after 2008. It seems like America, the inflation, everything is get taking everybody's money. So quite interesting times, especially as I said, elections. Like it's the most elections in the history of mankind, I think, this year.
Interesting.
So
Yeah.
and it's very interesting, isn't it? With like Joe Biden, I mean, that thing's messed up with Kamala coming out. I mean, how can they sidestep Kamala? It's awesome, isn't it? Like this is just absolutely fantastic. I'm
It,
just
it,
enjoying this
it
now.
is, it is high drama,
TV.
Yeah.
I want
Yeah.
the Netflix rights to this.
But how are they
Absolutely.
going to? I don't know if they can do it. To be honest with you, I think they need to go with her. If they're going to get rid of the old man, they got to go with her. And I was actually over in Ireland the night of that debate, and as I woke up, the debate was actually finishing before flying home, and then it went right into the talking heads. It was just you could just tell that they were crushed with Biden's performance, and it's been that way ever since. Even on RTE Radio One, they couldn't ignore it. They couldn't ignore how poorly Biden did. I mean, obviously there were a million excuses, but I think that's a shockwave kind of around the world as well. That this the U.S. isn't what it was when you've got kind of a senile old man at the helm.
Come on. I mean, you could turn on any sort of just news for the last like 3 months and you could see as plain as day that he was gone, like this was just confirmation and he took like a week to prepare. It was like, it's crazy that no one is like blind, didn't want to see it. The Emperor has no clothes. It was absolutely just amazing that I literally thought that the media would come out. It's like, he did a great job. Because I was almost expecting that because I'm just like, they did it so many times where you can actively see, like, don't believe your lying eyes. They've done it for like the last 3 years.
Yeah, and they
And
tried.
I was literally ready. I was shocked that they all came out and kind of like, okay, he doesn't look good. I'm like, okay, you saw what I saw then. So it was
I
or
think that
like, oh, the right wing is horrible for saying Joe Biden was, horrible in that debate. I never seen him so vigor.
he's so vigorous and spry, and
Uh,
I think that they tried. I mean, because there were some talking points that were there for sure where they tried to go that way, but they were getting too many calls from other people and other elected officials and donors. So it's the money. The money is there. Like, we're not gonna freaking back this guy. This We've already thrown too much money at this invalid, and we can't have it anymore. This is crazy. So now you need to put in. You need to do something. You need to get this guy out. We need to switch him up while I've got time, because it was a full on panic. They just see that Trump wiped the floor with them, and he didn't even do all that much. He just stayed out of his way and let him crash and burn. And it's and again, it's kind of a symbolic of U.S. leadership under him and these last couple of years, where it's just he's just
it just confirmed he was a Manchurian candidate.
yeah.
Like we've known it for 3 years, if not the whole time. He was a man from the basement, like we all kind of knew it. And now it's proven that, and then the machine will still put the puppet out there, it
Well,
still will with Jill. Jill, Dr. Jill.
Dr. Jill,
My favorite.
Dr. Jill likes going to these fancy dinners and living in the White
Yeah.
House.
She doesn't want Kamala anywhere near that place. She hates
No,
Kamala after the debate of the primaries from
yep.
and that's it. So that's so hilarious.
But
It's
he
awesome. It's like a TV soap opera.
It really is. But the thing is that everyone's like, oh, it's elder abuse. I feel bad for Joe. I don't feel bad for him. He wants it just as much as she does. When he's
Joe's having a
lucid,
great time.
yeah,
Going to Camp David anytime he wants.
yep.
Cocaine coming through the door anytime they want. Like they're all having a laugh. You
It's
know?
it's crazy. That's what they've wanted, since the late '60s, and they want to have that lifestyle, and it took them, you know, 50 years to get here, but they're here now, and they're not going to give it up. You're going to have to pry it from his cold dead hands.
I
So
literally was gonna say the exact same phrase. It was awesome. That's right.
that's it. And but he has been brutal. They like, oh, Joe Biden's been an excellent president. He's just been just as bad as these other people in Europe. The immigration here has been out of control, because it's not immigration, it's illegal, it's an invasion. These people have been crossing the
And the
border.
government's actively helping them.
Yeah,
I mean, they're actively giving them $5,000 cell phones. Like, oh, don't bother coming back. For your court date. Like, go run your little schemes in the cities, and like, it's crazy.
it
It's
is
absolutely
crazy.
crazy.
It is
You know.
crazy, and again, it's dangerous too, because you just see more and more. I think a typical, or maybe not typical, but a story you hear about are these Venezuelan gangs that are coming up, and they're not just coming up onesie twosie. They're coming up and they're organized. So all they're doing is just landing and doing the exact same thing that they were doing in Venezuela. So their crime rate is going down and ours is going up, and
Well, that's what they're
they
saying,
don't
that the
care.
cities aren't even reporting the crime rate. That's why they're saying the
Yes.
crime rate's getting better, but then like we're not getting the city, or the government's not actually taking the cities that actually like Chicago, New York, LA. They refuse to give them the crime rates, which is kind of the cities, right? Probably Houston, because that's where they're all settling.
Right.
Oh my gosh, it's absolutely just. It's happening all over the world, though, all over the world, and then inflation's going up because of it, and it's a endless cycle. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. It's we talk about inflation. Biden is there, lying his ass off that, oh, I I came in with this Trump inflation. It's just like, dude, that's not the case. You spent like a drunken sailor. People told you if you kept passing those bills, there was going to be inflation, and there was. But nobody believed in inflation anymore because it had been so tamed after Volcker and Reagan in the '80s that people forgot how bad inflation is. Once you let that kind of bear out of the trap, it runs wild, and you just don't
I know,
know
but
when
then you
it's going to
had like
stop.
Republicans that went along with it. You
Yeah,
know, like the Mitt Romneys or whatever that voted for like even the last 1.7. I mean, in 2008, when like everything went crashing, I think the max was like 800 billion or something. And now it's like 1.7, like it's going out of stock.
right.
You know, it's crazy. It's absolutely just like that was a one-off too, just to stop all the banks from imploding and from the the property bubble or whatever. But now it's just like, oh well, Mitt, we need some more for Afghanistan. Let's just 1.7 trillion, It's I wonder if Lindsay voted for that, I wish Trump would drop Lindsay the next one,
I know.
Don't let him in anywhere near the White House. And Jared.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think Jared's coming back for this next round. But that's the thing. They need to cut spending, and they also need to turn this stuff around, because it's so easy to make a mess, and you can do it so quickly, but it takes a while to clean it up. And I don't know if Trump's going to be able to do it even in 4 years, but I think that there's definitely an opportunity. But, it's
Well,
a
Steve
still,
Bannon just went into jail, didn't he?
he
So he'll come
did.
out and probably go on a killing, ending spree. I think they have like a list of 2,500 names that get the axe.
Yeah.
Start cleaning house. So I'm assuming he'll have a revenge on his mind.
Yeah. And,
If he's
and
given the opportunity.
And I saw him do an interview the other day before going in, and he had a pretty good mindset. He's just like, it's just basically, the quote unquote, I'm the next man up, kind of almost like it's my turn, and I'll do this for my country. I don't mind doing it, and and then we're going to go from here. And that's how corrupt things are right now. So for me to have to go to jail, I'm still going to fight it. I think he did actually go into prison a couple of days ago. Um, and that's it. That's all there is to it. Just survive while you're in there, come out in a couple months, and get back to work. And I know at his age,
Well,
he's 70 years old, somebody like that, an older guy. But we know ourselves that they have no problem throwing old people in jail. And they're
that's why
happy.
Dad
They're happy to do it.
doesn't go back to Ireland that
Yeah.
much, or whatever.
Well,
You build them hospitals and then they want to throw you in jail
yeah,
if you don't hand it over.
you can't,
Effectively,
and
that's how it
they
works.
don't care. They don't need a reason. They just need the person. They don't
They
they
need
don't.
a narrative too.
Yeah,
You know, I mean, they'll create that and then use the propagandist. That's why I was like shocked again that the debate that the propagandist didn't really like try to tell you don't believe your lying eyes. But I guess maybe they were prompt. One theory was like Joe got a placebo instead of his uppers. It was like spike. Do you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
they're just so he had no meds because I was pretty shocked. I was like, I listened to I turned it on a little later, but when I turned it on, I was like, whoa, is this what's really going on? Like, he is so slow,
Yeah, I
you
know.
know? I was
It's
like, no, he should be hopped up on cocaine, rolling, jumping all over the place.
I
But that
I
was a very disappointing it was
I
crazy.
I heard two theories. One was that he got his medication too late. Like he started to get better as it got moving, like half hour in, or 60 minutes in, but the damage was already done. It was too late. Um, but he should have
Cool.
gotten
Okay.
he should have
Okay, that's
gotten
cool.
he should have gotten his medication kind of earlier. But then it was also like it was late. It was late at night, and he's not used to keeping those hours. And they went to Camp David for a
And it was
week.
in Atlanta too, wasn't it too? So like he wasn't even on his home turf.
Yep, and
He had to fly there.
he had to fly there, but also he wasn't used to being up that late. All of this debate prep was still done during the day. And then he's trying to, it's almost like a professional athlete. It's just like, the Chicago Cubs, you're playing day games all the time. Then you get into the playoffs and now you're playing night games against the Yankees. You're not really used to that. And that's professionals. That's professional
Yeah.
athletes.
He really is a puppet though, isn't he?
Oh,
Like it's a puppet game. It's awesome. It's so funny to see it live now. And like Kamala Harris is definitely a puppet game too. I mean, let's be honest.
yeah.
She's horrible. She's like the worst actress ever. It's so funny.
I'm sorry,
These
who's that
two,
now?
and
Who? Oh,
Kamala Harris,
Kamala,
and
yeah.
Joe Biden. Like they're both puppets, but like they can't. They're just really in trouble. It's so funny to see,
Well, they're
because people want to see more of Joe. I think he's going to be on like George Stephanopoulos' show now. It's
not,
going to be hilarious. It's going to be
yeah.
awesome.
That's not going to be live though. So as we record this, that hasn't happened yet, and it's going to be recorded and then played. So I'm sure it's going to be heavily edited, and people are just like, we want to see it live. We want to see, we'll take another
Yeah.
look at this guy,
Oh yeah.
because that's going to be the thing. And as we were
Correct.
talking about, what do you call it? In the meanwhile, Europe is changing by the minute too, because they're having these elections. It's crazy. As we record this, the UK is about to have their elections, and it looks like the
Yep.
Tories are going to get stomped, but good.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah,
And they deserve to, man. They're a shallow crap party. It's like Ireland. They're a one party system now.
yeah, the
Boris
Uniparty.
proved it.
Yep.
They're the uniparty. Boris proved it. Like he was more liberal than the liberals. And having his part, like he deserved to get tossed, but they were no better. And the girl who came in, who actually was trying to do good, they like voted her out within like 3 weeks.
Right.
Yeah. So like screw, like rebuild, burn it to the ground because they're ruining that country.
Yep. And they're like you say, uniparty. They're weak. They're moderate. And this prime minister, I don't know what he's done. I mean, he's just a little shrimp, and he's done nothing. I mean, it's
He
just
plays the game. That's all he
yeah.
does. He marries rich girl, and he plays the game. I don't think there's anything particularly talented about him, unless I don't know something. I mean, I don't know much about him, but I think he's married to a pretty good looking rich, like super rich girl, like billionaire something. Do you know what I mean? Like no joke. So I think he has like then he's just playing with toys.
Yeah.
He's not living a normal life. So and he probably has like an Oxford education or something like that.
Well, it's almost like I think maybe it was Nixon who said it or somebody. Some people want to get into office to do things. Other people want to get into office to hold that office and be important. And they want to be called Mr. President or Congressman or whatever. And that's the way it seems with this guy. He just wanted to be prime minister, not really do anything as far as I can see. And now here they are about to just get wiped off the map. At least, I
Yeah,
mean,
it's kind of like our little guy in Ireland, the newspaper, the guy who's now prime minister, Harris, who's like looks like he's 66, but he's actually like 38 or
oh,
something. It's
geez,
crazy.
yeah.
But remember, he's just a placeholder, and they all jump ship.
Hmm.
It's kind of the same. But we'll see what that election isn't that coming up too soon.
I think that's maybe next year, or it's a ways away. It's not like just around the corner. As far as I know, I don't know if that's this year or not. I just don't have my finger on the timing of that. But he's definitely just keeping the seat warm here for the next little while. And he also seems like a guy who just wants to be the Taoiseach. He just wants to
Correct.
have that
Correct.
title and maybe get a piece of the action or whatever. Is
I
he
think
the
they get a driver for the rest of their life too, and
okay?
stuff like that. It's pretty awesome. Like they get their armed guard. No joke. You
Okay.
know, once
Okay.
particularly in Ireland, but this guy, I think in UK, the Tory guy, he had a good run of it. At least had 18 months, didn't he? Maybe 2 years.
Maybe that doesn't seem all that great. I mean, you should.
Well, I mean, it's better than nothing,
It's better
right?
than
As
nothing.
PM,
Yeah. Yeah.
going around, shaking some hands, taking some jets, living the high life, making some decisions,
Well,
armed guards,
I think that's the thing though
chefs.
with all these guys. It's just kind of like let's drain the system or get as much out of it as we can and
One hundred
enjoy the
percent.
high life. So it feels like the whole system is
Cocktail
break.
parties, Bern.
Yes.
Cocktail parties.
Yep.
Cocktail parties and lunches,
Yep.
Like George, like Biden's banker hours. What wasn't one of the excuses? He's like, well, he's really good between like 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. It's like he's like banker hours. It's crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, China, don't attack America between those hours, please, or after hours, or don't attack
That's awesome.
Taiwan, should I say? That's the
Yeah,
thing.
exactly.
That's the
Awesome.
thing that's scary about it is that like the whole world saw Biden. It's just like fuck, that's the guy. We could start doing some mischief right now. And what's he going to do about it? So,
They
and
probably want him. The powers that be probably want it. I
you
don't
know,
know. There's something. It's like it feels like it's self sabotage.
and it's a
Like
good. Even if Trump wins, it's still 7 months until he's out. So, like as it stands right now, people are saying like not only does he need to like not run again, he needs to step down and call it quits and make Kamala president right now. If she has a chance to win, that's what they need to do.
I
So
agree. I agree with that.
yeah,
He can't run the country now. I mean, at least she can wake up at 6 a.m. or 3 a.m. or 1 a.m. You
yep,
know, he's got to go. He's
yep,
got to go immediately. And I think
exactly,
that's kind of the thing right now is that they're coming around to is just like, no, it's not even that you can't run. It's you have to leave tomorrow, you
yep,
know? Uh,
exactly.
because at least she can wake up. I would actually feel more comfortable with her there. She's not fully stupid. You know, she's just an idiot.
She is an
You
idiot.
know,
Yep.
she is freaking vice president, you know, in all fairness to her, but at least she can get up. The guy, like, we're not, it's just not safe. And come on, you know,
Yep.
so all the best.
Yep.
Yes.
And
That was a good showing. But I like the fact that the drugs didn't kick in because that makes the most sense because he has like high priced doctors, right?
mm-hmm.
And this is their game. But if they're like moving around the world and like flying here, there, and everywhere, like Camp David, now that down to, you know, where was it, Atlanta that they chose
Yep. And
here, and
he's
you know, I would say they got a little just messed up the time a bit. You
yep.
know, a lot of things going on, and the doctor doesn't get to know everything. You know.
Right. So, I think the world is up for grabs, and it's kind of a time right now where things are in transition. We'll pick it up here again in a couple of days. Like I said, I was over in Ireland for a little bit, and I didn't notice that much, but I was kind of doing stuff with family and wasn't in Dublin, so I didn't really see much and wasn't really looking out for some of the trouble. But you can definitely see the demographic shifts on the street. It's just like, okay, that person there doesn't really fit in or wouldn't have been here years ago and is now um, kind of riding down the street in their bicycle. And it's like, okay, I didn't see anything untoward or crazy, but you could definitely see some of the shift. So but of course, again, wasn't in an area where it was as dramatic as some people have seen.
Yeah, but again, the people of Ireland voted this in.
They did.
You know, I mean, they're the only people to blame because
Yeah.
they go sheep. I mean, let's be honest with it. I mean, it's just around the kitchen table on, you know, Sunday night or Sunday afternoon dinner, which is great, by the way. It's a great dinner, but it's like they all kind of then like, what's the easiest way? It's, you know, well, whatever the liberal government tells us to do, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so
And
unfortunately, this is a side reaction of it, you know, but
that's
they'll
it.
keep voting for him. They'll
Yep.
keep voting for him.
Yep. Until they get to that point, like France and Italy have gotten to now, where they did vote for it before, they saw the consequences of it, and now they're changing their mind. Probably too late to actually be able to do something about it, but that's the way
But
it
there's
goes.
probably a great market to open up like an ultra right wing party in Ireland because no one would even think of doing it because they're the furthest. Like, you know, I heard on some American kind of cable or like how Ireland's considered like the most communist of the European countries, which means that they're the last to change, you
Yep.
know, because it's the group thing. It's the 4 million people stuck in an island, you know,
Oh yeah.
going home to their house every weekend or whatever if they live in the city.
Yeah.
It's just, I
It's
don't know.
it's a grassy Alcatraz. I mean, is what it comes down to. Everybody
Yeah,
is on that island. It's a prison.
point.
They just don't realize
Good
it
point.
because they're there.
Boom. That's exactly it. And they have no intention of leaving. If they try to leave, you know, the crabs will carry them down the bowl. They can't get out. You know, it's
Yep.
just the way it works. It's awesome,
Yep.
but it's sad too.
It is. Well, at least we were able to get out and we can see it from a little
Oh
bit of a
yeah.
perspective. And, it doesn't mean all of our family are safe because we still have loved ones there. But all we can do is watch because there's really nothing we can do about it, but kind of comment and notice and, write it down and bring it into our novels and talk about it there. So that's what we're doing. And appreciate it, Jay. Thanks for hopping on today. And thank you, folks out there, for listening. Again, please like and subscribe. As they say, it's free. So, we would like to continue doing this, and we're working on the next novel and moving this along so we can capture this and really, bring it to you, hopefully in an entertaining kind of way. So again, Jay, thanks for joining. Talk to you later.
Thank you very much. Bye.